So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker for today, Dr. George Feast. George leads the SME Collaboration Nation program, which forms part of CSIRO's wider SME Connect. We work across the Australian ecosystem to facilitate projects between small, medium-sized businesses and research organizations. George has worked in the field of startups and small businesses for many years, having founded the CSRO Kickstart program and has worked with and in SMEs during his time as a researcher. His research background is in organic chemistry, but please don't let that put you off. Transferable skills are useful in all areas of collaboration. So George, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty, for that warm introduction. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we dial in from today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And as Marty said, I'd like to let you know that whilst I might be a champion of collaboration, I'm certainly no expert in AI or cyber. So please forgive me if I mix up my algorithms from my security protocols during the talk. As Marty said, I'm leading our SME Collaboration Nation initiative, where we aim to double the rates of SME research collaboration in Australia by amplifying existing SME facilitation programs, simplifying and removing barriers to collaboration, and helping businesses and researchers understand the value of collaboration for positive impact. And why might we want to do that? Well, we know that SMEs make up the vast proportion of our companies and economic output, and they account for the majority of Australian jobs. We also believe that SMEs have great ideas and commercial insights, but not always the technical acumen to act upon these ideas. And that's where research and development can help out. We're strong believers that industry-led R&D can help create new products and processes that will not only create a resilient, thriving Australian economy, but also showcase our world-leading technologies to the world through new markets and exports. But we can't just be believers. We always like to have proof, especially as a former researcher myself. So we've been doing some research of our own to work out the power of collaboration for small business. We teamed up with RMIT University to ask some key questions to 800 Australian SMEs, 400 previous collaborators and 400 randomly generated non-collaborators. And the kinds of things we asked were, what kinds of collaborative activities did you do? What were the enablers and the barriers to working with a publicly funded research organization, so CSRO or a university? And what was your motivation for doing the collaboration and what were the outcomes? So, we had 800 companies. You don't have to be a data scientist to understand we generated quite a lot of data, which I'm not going to go into detail today, but I'll talk through some key findings, what we're currently doing and want to do at CSRO, and then what you can do as an SME to get on board the collaboration bandwagon. If there's anything further that piques your interest, of course, the report can be downloaded from the CSRO website, and I'll give you those details later. So what did we find? So in general, the collaborators were doing better. They had higher turnover, they were commercializing more new-to-market products and services, and they had their short and long-term strategies less impacted by the COVID pandemic. In fact, 2/3 of the collaborating SMEs reported that they had designed or manufactured a new product in the past 3 years, compared with only 28% of the non-collaborating SMEs. And these collaborating SMEs are like Australian medical imaging company Singular Health. You see how I seamlessly weaved in my first example there. They've been working with our researchers to design an automated labeling system to visualize and manipulate the spine of an individual vertebrae in 3D. And this is useful because currently, this process requires many hours of manual identification and markups to hundreds of CT scans. So what the Data 61 team trialed was a number of different AI models and pre and post-processing techniques to go on over 200 CT scans. And what they were able to do was achieve the accurate spatial location of individual vertebrae using this process. This new product is designed to save radiologists their precious time and ensure a high level of accuracy for surgeons to better plan treatments and design customized implants. The technology will be integrated into Singular Health's commercial software, which is currently in use in hospitals, clinicians, schools, and universities. So back to the report. How are the SMEs collaborating? So the most commonly reported collaborative activity was a joint research project funded by the business. And a common enabler of that process was a third-party facilitator. And this is where the CSRO SME Connect team come in. Their team's primary role is to meet with SMEs, understand their R&D issue or idea, and then connect them up with the most relevant research capability for their business. What's even better is if they're able to assist, they're also able to assist in accessing dollar-matched funding programs. And it will come as no surprise that access to funding was also viewed as a key enabler by our interviewees, as it reduces the financial risk for the business in case the research doesn't turn out as planned, but can also accelerate projects by increasing the amount of resourcing available. Our main program that does this is called Innovation Connections. This is federally funded with up to $50,000 available per project. And the good news for you is that we can connect with any publicly funded R&D provider. So if you don't find the right expertise here today, remember there are many university researchers out there that may also have the right capability. And what we can do is help make those connections. The 18 facilitators that we have are spread right across the country from Perth to Townsville. So wherever you're dialing in from today, there'll be someone local for you, including 4 located here in Melbourne. So we found that once a company had that taste for collaboration, they came back time and time again. In fact, of the 400 collaborators interviewed, they averaged 7 collaborative activities each. And we've coined these companies serial collaborators. And the impact that they generate stems from their increased trust and commitment between both parties as they undertake larger projects and grow their relationships. My serial collaborator example is retail lease management firm LeaseInfo. And for those that virtually attended the panel session yesterday afternoon, they would have heard from them there. So lease management involves coordinating vast amounts of documents on accounting, administrative and legal requirements. And in the past, this was undertaken manually. But what LeaseInfo recognized was that by digitizing the process, it would massively decrease the time and efforts required, for example, when needing to submit balance sheets. So LeaseInfo approached the SME Connect team for assistance to see if they could turn their several million pages of contracts into a novel, fast management platform. And we introduced them to Data61's natural language processing team. A collaborative project was then developed to test whether the information could be abstracted from PDFs and scanned documents. The good news? It could be. The highly advanced contract reading technology that was developed, now called Accurate, drastically decreased the time and resourcing needed to extract contract data, as well as reducing human error, and formulated it into a reliable, exportable format. Over the past 4 years, that partnership has grown substantially, and LeaseInfo, Data61 team continue to improve and develop their technology. They've undertaken projects funded through various programs, including Innovation Connections, as we mentioned before, STEM Plus Business, CSRO Kickstart, and New South Wales State Government Tech Vouchers, all of which you can find out about on our website or speak to other providers. LeaseInfo has acquired over 30 new customers and has been selected by the world's largest lease management systems company as a preferred supplier of this value-added service. So our research also found that there is proportionately less support for young and micro-sized businesses, that are those that are less than 5 employees, to engage with R&D in Australia, whilst also finding that those businesses were most likely to be developing the new and innovative products. We actually recognized this several years ago ourselves, and so we set up the CSRO Kickstart program to help startups access R&D at CSIRO. So since 2017, we've helped over 150 businesses in almost 200 projects, including 20 working in the machine learning, AI, or cybersecurity space. And as with our other programs, we provide the facilitation to find the researchers, and also the dollar match funding of up to 50K to engage in that R&D project that comes out of that work. So, for example, startup founders Nick and Murray Scarce wanted to create a creature identification app to answer that age-old Australian question: is it venomous? Their idea, now called Kridopedia, will enable users to take a photo of a snake, spider, etc., from any smart device, instantly identify it, and provide information and associated threat levels. The pair approached the Kickstart team for R&D assistance to rapidly identify, sort, and certify those images. So we introduced them to Data61's computer vision specialists, his experts in AI, and a team who undertaken multiple Kickstart projects that have a lot of experience in working with startups. The subsequent project they established together developed an algorithm to maximize image recognition accuracy. And as you can imagine, this is critical when you're pinpointing those minor differences between a species that may or may not kill you. What's also really cool is that the images training the algorithm are from citizen scientists, so people like you and I going out, taking photos and uploading them. This is then linked to GPS data and other information. The automated identification technology that they developed is embedded within the Kridopedia app, which is currently in final stages of development, and phase 1 release is planned for later this year. They then intend to expand their dataset and use the AI-powered platform to share safety and education tools for training purposes. So what else are we doing at CSIRO to address the recommendations from our report? Well, this is why we have the SME Collaboration Nation initiative. We're working with partners in state and federal governments to ensure better crossover and sharing of leads between programs. That is, to make sure that SMEs get the best program for their business situation and minimize duplication of effort. We created a new experiential learning program called Innovate to Grow. This helps SMEs understand the value of R&D to their business and provides them with actionable outcomes, including business plans, for example, as well as connections with researchers and peers. We've been trialing this over the past year in the agri-food, mining, and plastic waste area, and we actually hope to run a specific cohort on cybersecurity within the next 6 months. So if you're interested, please keep a lookout for our website and socials. And we're trying to improve communication of the benefits of collaboration for SMEs and researchers, which is one of the reasons why we're supporting this event today. And what can you do for yourselves as an SME? Well, you've taken that first step by joining us here. Our report recommends attending conferences, seminars, workshops, etc., to increase the awareness of the resources and capabilities lurking within the Australian research sector that may be of use to your business. You could also team up with your peers to identify common problems and bring these as a collective. And also, don't be afraid to come forward with a less complex problem. A common theme of our findings is that large-scale collaboration doesn't just happen. The most impactful collaborations are built on trusting relationships, and these can only be achieved through starting small and gradually increasing investment from both parties. I hope today is a great start to your collaboration journey, or acts as a catalyst to take that next step with a research partner you're already working with. We're really grateful for the time you're investing and hope you leave with new ideas and inspiration to engage with the R&D sector. If you want to hear anything more about what I've spoken about today, please visit csiro.au/SME, or you can contact me directly. But please leave the technical questions to the data experts. Thanks.
Thank you, George, for that. I just have one quick question for you, because you added a lot of interesting terminology there. So you spoke about these serial collaborators, which I find a very interesting term. What would you say is the average size of those serial collaborators? And is that something that is relevant here, or is that just a chance?
No, that's a really interesting question, actually, Marty. We actually found there was a kind of collaboration sweet spot as well with the companies that were most likely to engage. And they were companies that were between 5 and 19 employees and were between 5 and 15 years old. So we kind of attribute that to, they're established enough as a business to understand their business part, but they're not quite large enough yet to have their own R&D department, essentially. So they're the ones that are already doing a lot of collaboration and where we can help more. Obviously, we want to help at the sides as well. That's why we have the programs for startups, and we'd love to work more with larger, medium-sized businesses too. But yeah, if you're in that kind of small but established phase, that really is where R&D can really help out, according to our research.
Great. Thank you very much, George.